Namaste, everyone, and welcome to Anchor the Light Part 2 for Monday here in the United States. So before we start, let's ask for a blessing, shall we? To the Divine Supreme God, Divine Father, Mother, to all the spiritual elders, holy masters, to all the saints of all traditions, archangels, holy angels, and spiritual helpers. Personally, to my beloved and respected teacher, Master Sokok Sui Mahaguji Mailing, we humbly ask for divine light, divine love. Thank you for wisdom, discernment, guidance, help, and protection. We thank you in full faith, and so it is. All right, welcome. So I hope that you were able to watch the earlier Anchor Light where we talk about, all this deeper teachings of understanding that the body, emotions, and thoughts produces all these influences, this information, and the packaging of that is how we normally produce the perception of I or their identity. All right, so just look at that earlier. Now, in this session, I just want to focus on something that a lot of people have a tendency not to pay attention to, or they pay attention to let's just say the wrong thing. That's why they have problems. So here's the verse. This is the African version. All right, just take a look. When you show the moon to a child, it sees only the finger. Okay, that's from Zambia. And as my teacher always says, truth is universal. So that's in Zambia, which is in Africa. And it reminds me of a teaching my my teacher, Grandmaster Chot, shared with us. So essentially, there are different versions of it, but the bottom line is as simple as this. There's this guy he's in China many years ago. He's a very well-known scholar. And if you speak Chinese, his name is Su Dongpo. Very brilliant guy. Has a big ego and a big mouth. Okay, just the bottom line. So he'd like to visit a lot of these spiritual schools and just to kind of challenge whoever the instructors, the teachers are, and just basically show off to see how smart he is. So one day he visited a spiritual school and brought some sutras, some spiritual teachings, and went to the teacher and said, could you please interpret these teachings for me? And the teacher, who used to be a cook, in the organization, because of his spiritual development, rose to the ranks and became the head teacher, or the guru, the teacher, the sifu, whatever name you want to use. So he looked at the scholar and says, could you please read it to me and I'll interpret it for you. I used to be a cook, so I never studied. So essentially he's illiterate. Okay, he couldn't read or write. So he told the guy, could you please just read it to me and I'll interpret the teachings for you. Now this scholar, who as I said earlier, it's a big mouth and and a big ego, started criticizing him, said, you're the head of this organization, you can't even read. The teacher, being very nice, very kind, but want to let him have it, said, okay, you can read, but you don't know what you're reading. You can see the finger, but you cannot see the moon. That's what I thought about it. This verse, or this teaching from the Zambian proverb, when you show the moon to a child, it sees only the finger. So in a similar manner, this student, who's supposed to be a scholar, he sees the finger, not the moon. Now he's like, okay, what's it got to do with anything? Essentially, words are like fingers. That's the way my teacher explained. Words are like fingers that could point to different things. If you get stuck with looking at the finger, rather than what the finger is pointing at, it's the same as that African proverb where a child gets fixated on the finger rather than what the finger is pointing, which is the moon. Make sense? Now, that African proverb is quite interesting because it says, when you show the moon to a child. Now, when you say a child, don't take it literally, at least in this context. It's not talking about a physical child. It's talking about somebody who's out acting childish, spiritually immature. So these people, they're spiritually immature and they think they're so smart, is criticizing the teacher. In this particular case, the scholar is criticizing the teacher, when the problem is not the teacher. The problem is the student who does not understand. Words are like fingers. It could point to different things. Case in point. I know this will trigger some of you, but whatever. some people get really fixated. They get upset. Oh, the Lord's Prayer, how come it's our Father? Now it's not, how come it's not our mother? There's a deeper meaning for that. That's for another time. Or they get angry. They read books. They go, it talks about mankind. It should be humankind. Sounds familiar? People get irritated over it. They're stuck with a finger. Or what else? You read certain books, and some of these teachings are taught in ancient times. So you're using what you know now as truth to judge those. Like oftentimes people read spiritual books and they get fixated on, well, it was written 2,000 years ago, so therefore we should adhere to what it was 2,000 years ago. Well, humanity has evolved. Now, let me just address that part on humankind, mankind, man, women, and so on and so on. Because that used to be something that people use as a reason to fight and argue and, I guess, have a discussion. Okay. Step 1. Don't get fixated on the finger. Look at where it's pointing to. A lot of those teachings that you're talking about, it says mankind instead of humankind or humanity, these were written 100 years ago. And some of it in the Bible, it's probably 2,000 years ago or longer, or Old Testament, maybe 3,000, who knows? So if you get angry and upset, I can't believe there's a bunch of sexist people, the problem is you, not the writing. Because you are stuck with a finger where you should be saying, well, these days the proper term is humanity or humankind, but you getting upset, it simply means you're ignorant of thinking, well, at that time, that's how they did it. That's the words they use at that time because that is their perception. For them, the word mankind represents humanity, male and female. So it's up to you to translate it in your head. Oh, at that time they said mankind, but the way we understand it this time, it's supposed to be humankind. You get a problem? So that's why people get upset. You have to understand things in context. Like we always say, you use the Bible as an example. When any part of the Bible was written, they didn't sit down and go, let's see, who is the author? Let's give it some chapters, and let's make sure specifically the verses are exactly the same. When they wrote it at that time, there were scribes that wrote it, and from there, over time, they compiled it, created a certain form of order. That's where the name of the book, like the author, the chapter and the verse came in. So if you don't understand the entire context, okay, this chapter is written, let's say, to talk about spiritual salvation. And it's written by an author who is a doctor compared to someone who's a tax collector like Matthew or somebody who is spiritually more connected to the inner world like John. So if you don't understand it in that context, what happens? You go, well, it has to be read exactly the way it was written. Well, first of all, I don't know if you know this. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong, the New Testament was written or compiled something like 400 years after the last apostle died. So if you don't understand in context, you're arguing with someone based on what? You're stuck with a finger. And here's another thing we always say. Let's just take the Buddha as an example. He walked the earth 2,500 years ago. Okay? 2,500 years ago. The Lord Jesus walked the earth 2,000 years ago. Now let's put this in context. In the case of the Buddha, we'll just use that as an example. It's easier to understand. He's called a planetary being in esoteric teachings. When you talk about a planetary being, you're talking about a being or a teacher that's so enlightened about the different worlds and different dimensions, his aura and the size of his chakras, let's just say his aura is the size of the planet. His chakras is as big as a country. Okay? When you take pranic healing, you learn that most people, ordinary people, unless they're on the spiritual path, the size of the chakras is like 4 to 5 inches. 4 to 5 inches. Compared to a teacher where the chakra is the size of a country. Okay. So you should realize that 2,500 years ago, if you could read and write, you're already pretty developed. You're pretty evolved. So what's the point? You have a teacher with that level of spiritual development talking to people who can't even read or write. Have you heard the words dumbing it down? That's dumbing it down. It's just like a mosquito talking to a college professor. Or probably worse. So you can imagine the words the teacher had to use is like, let's bring it down to the level of mosquito. So if you take things, what the teacher said literally, 2,500 years later, guess what happens? Guaranteed you screw it up. Think about it. Why do you think the Lord Jesus said, to you, talking to the apostles, to you are given the mysteries to the kingdom of heaven, or the keys to the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, the deeper teachings. To them outside, let's give them a bunch of stories called parables. Make sense? So if you start to argue with someone, well, no, the prophet said, the teacher said, literally like this, so you should do it that way. Okay, you're going to be in big trouble. You're getting stuck with a finger instead of saying, what is the teacher actually pointing at? Make sense? So with that African proverb, when you show that the moon or the teaching or the objective or the item, whatever you're looking at, to a child, meaning a one who is not spiritually evolved, mentally developed, or whatever, guaranteed they will keep looking at the finger. Instead of saying, no, this is pointing to the teachings. Haven't you noticed? Over time, as you meditate, as you study and learn, what happens? Normally, of course, there's always going to be exceptions. Normally, you start to understand, oh, in Christianity, it's understood this way. In Hinduism, it's understood this way. In Islam, it's understood this way. In Buddhism, it's understood this way. But everybody's talking about the same thing. But when you're spiritually young, you go, I'm right, you guys are all barbecuing in hell. I'm right, you're all wrong. Sounds familiar? I was like that. It's funny that when I first got into pranic healing, I was really like, this is right, this is wrong. And over time, I started going, well, it's possible that I'm right, you can also be right, you can also be right, because we're looking at it from different facets. That's when Message said, look, truth has many levels. First level of truth, second level of truth. If you ever attended a class with us, we always talk about that. One person will look at it as first level of truth. For example, John lives in Los Angeles. First level of truth. Somebody could be saying, well, but he actually lives in California. That's a wider truth. Then go, well, John lives in the United States. That's also correct. And somebody says, well, he lives on Earth, not on Mars. That's also correct. All four truths can exist at the same time, even though it's said differently. Now, if you're stuck with a finger, okay, I'm not going to use the middle finger, obviously. If you're stuck, no, John lives in Los Angeles. He does not live in the United States. Then you got a big problem. Because you're fixated on the words rather than what it's pointing to. Just like you hear people, we have 7 chakras. When you tell them there's 11, they're going to go, you're wrong, there's only 7. Again, what? They're stuck with a finger. Or another way to look at it is, the way my teacher explained it, says, truth has many facets. So as simple as you look at any subject, for example, you look at love. The easiest way to do it, love. When you have a toddler express love, it's they want to please their parents. They want to be with mommy. They want to be with daddy. If you're a teenager, your idea of love is what? Well, it could be connected to your hormones going crazy, or it could be love would mean almost the opposite of being a toddler, because when you're in school, you go, Mom, Dad, come on, don't come talk close to me. They might think I'm still a kid. I'm already grown up. I don't want to get embarrassed with my peers. So your love is more of the love coming from your peers. For you, that's more important. If you get fast forward to, let's say, you're blessed to be in your 90s, What does love mean to you? The love of family, the love of God. It's still the same love, but you're looking from different facets. Now, if you get stuck with the finger, it has to be this way. It's just like looking at a gemstone and just looking one side and say, this is the whole gemstone. Now, why do most people say, I'm right and everybody else is wrong? Part of it is, let's just say, the heart chakra is not so activated. Now you're going to go, wait. You talk about something had to do with knowledge. What the hell has the heart got to do with it? Well, if your heart is activated, you feel this inclusive tendency. You go, I can be right. You can also be right. Let's find the middle ground. Or let's find something that's similar. But if the heart is not as activated, it's just like, I'm right, everybody else is wrong. So that's one factor. Second factor, when the upper chakras are more activated, especially the crown, you start to realize there's oneness. And you start to see that religion has a tendency to see the differences, what spirituality has a tendency to see the similarities. Because your crown chakra is more activated. You start to notice that as you spiritually develop, it becomes more inclusive rather than exclusive. So you don't get stuck with just, this is the truth. Everything else is false. Where do you think bigotry comes from? Where do you think racism comes from? They're stuck with a finger. They only look at this, not looking at what it's pointing to. So as you spiritually develop, you go, okay, my belief is this. That's based on my experience. That's what you believe to be true. That's based on your experience. I cannot question your experience because I wasn't there. Some of you go, I never thought of that. Exactly the point. So as you grow spiritually, that's one thing you notice. So you become more tolerant. You say, okay, all of us can be right in our perception. Maybe there's a way for us to get along. Instead of, I'm right, you're wrong, or you're right, I'm totally screwed up, you can say, well, everybody has something good to offer. Make sense? So when you show the moon to the child, as in someone who's acting childish or spiritually, not so developed, they get fixated. Their perception is very narrow. But as a person spiritually grows, by the way, that's why when we do our affirmation, we say, we are children of God, is to show that I got it. I know I'm not perfect. I'm still learning. So there's a sense of humility. And when there's a sense of humility, a person is teachable. Haven't you noticed you've talked to some people, you're not even done with what you're saying. You should do this. And by the way, there's this, they go, I know. You know what I do with people like that when they talk to me? They go, I know. I go, all right. I'll walk away. Your mind's made up. I don't want to change it with facts. No, I want to talk. You sure? I thought you know everything. You notice that? The people like to yak. That's what they're saying. The people who know a lot are quiet. The one who know too little, they're the ones that are loud and noisy. There are many interpretations, but there are many ways that it's said. In the Chinese tradition, they say, if a container is full, you hit on it, doesn't make sound. When a container is empty, bang, 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 it's loud. So people who don't know as much, they take the little they know and amplify and broadcast it. You know why? They have low self-esteem. The ones who know a lot, they look at you and go, okay, you're just basically telling everybody how ignorant you are by opening your big mouth. Now, I know you guys say, that's too harsh. Well, whatever. We'll tell it like it is. You cannot handle it. What's the answer? You find another teacher. So the key is do your meditation, do your spiritual practice, and practice right viewpoint. A lot of you joined me for the Wesak 7-day purification. The first and most important of all the teachings, not the all, but the Eightfold Path is right viewpoint. Right viewpoint means you have the right perception of the subject, right perception of what's going on. Observe before you make your conclusions mentally, before you open your mouth, before you act. That's it. Now, if you look around, you look at the people in your life that have problems in their life, guess what? They don't practice the first part, which is right viewpoint. Whatever comes along, they get angry, they get upset, instead of going, let me observe. As I observe, is my conclusion correct? Should I study more? That's it. Very simple. That's why the example I used this morning in the earlier session, which, please don't get offended. I know some people still believe it. There's still people who argue that the earth is flat. They do. They believe, they have conventions of it. And we have a student that is still an astronaut. She's been to the space station. When she does meditation Twin Hearts, she was able to take a audio file. When she does meditation Twin Hearts, you and I visualize the earth. She looks out the window. And I ask her, is it flat? Is it round? She goes, it's obvious. It's a ball. So I said, what do you say to people who argue with you it's flat? She said, I was informed by NASA. Don't say anything. Don't argue. Don't get into a discussion because it's fruitless. Well, yeah, no kidding. It's a complete waste of time. Not a partial one, a complete waste of time. Because people's minds are made up. Now, just for the fun of it, if somebody says the earth is flat, you go, okay, if the earth is flat, how could there be day and night? Just imagine if it's flat like this, anywhere on that earth, if it's sunlight, everything should be sunlight. Isn't it? If you have a flat surface like this, if the light is here, anywhere in that flat surface, you see the same thing. There shouldn't be night, there shouldn't be day. There should be just one for everyone. That means whether you're in Brazil, whether you're all the way in Northern California, way up in whatever, the North Pole, what you see and what Santa sees should be the same. You look up in the sky, you should see the same constellation. Because if it's flat, whether you're here, whatever you see should be the same. Make sense? Now, why do people like to just be told what to think? The way my teacher said is because it takes too much effort. You mean I have to study? I have to break things down? I have to understand it? There's too much work. Just tell me. So what happens? Whatever they're told, if they have a good teacher, the teacher will say, okay, think for yourself. Don't get stuck with a finger. Look at what the teaching is talking about, how it applies in your life. The ones who are lazy says, just tell me, I'll just believe what you say. Then you're totally screwed. So discernment manifests, listen to this, when you are constantly questioning and analyzing. So you're not stuck with a finger. You always ask, what is this finger pointing to? What does it really mean? It's just like when you're talking to someone, they tell you one thing, you go, what do they really mean? What is this person referring to? You know, with their tonality, with their body language, what are they telling me? Make sense? So very, very simple teaching. But I think a lot of us, when we get on this spiritual path, we forget. Don't get stuck with the finger. When you read spiritual books, ask yourself, okay, number one, what is this referring to? Number two, is my conclusion reading it correct? Or should I get somebody else's opinion? That's how you spiritually grow. Otherwise, if you swallow everything or you make a conclusion without getting all the information, you create your own stumbling block. So study, analyze, experiment, question, and then make your own conclusion. That's the way my teacher always said. He never expected you to follow blindly. Just like when you're listening to it, you don't agree with it, bye, sayonara. You know, I'm not forcing you to stay. But at least, as you listen, try to understand it before making a conclusion. That's it. So, shall we meditate? You put your hands on your heart. Be aware of your crown. I am that I am. I'm not the body, I'm not the emotion or the thoughts. I am the soul. I am a spiritual being of divine intelligence, divine love, and divine power. I am that, the soul, the spiritual self. I am connected in one to my higher soul. I am connected in one to the divine spirit in me. I am a child of God. I am one with God. I am one with all. There is only oneness. Just be still. We are one. Now imagine all of us are inside the big bright sun looking out into the solar system. We will meditate on the great invocation, a powerful prayer to bless the entire earth. So open your hands in blessing. Verbally chant with me. Om, Om, Om. Just fill the earth with light. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of every person, every being. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of every person, every being. Let love descend on earth. Fill the earth with love, mercy, and compassion. From the center where the will of God is known, let divine purpose guide the wills of every person, every being, the purpose which the Holy Masters and the spiritual hierarchy know and serve. Let goodwill and the willingness to do good descend on earth. So be it. From the center, which you call the human race, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where any evil dwells. Let light, love, and power descend throughout the entire earth. Let light, love, and power restore and manifest the divine plan on earth. So be it. Just be still. Let the blessings of divine intelligence, divine love, and divine willpower flow through us. Bless your home, your workplace, your city, and your country, and let it spread throughout the entire world. Again, from the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of every person, every being. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of every person, every being. Let love descend on earth. May God's messenger of love return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let divine purpose guide the wills of every person, every being, the purpose which the Holy Masters and spiritual hierarchy know and serve. Let goodwill and the willingness to do good descend on earth. So be it. From the center which we call the human race, let the plan of love and light work out. May it seal the door where any evil dwells. Let light, love, and power descend on earth. Let light, love, and power restore and manifest the divine plan on earth now. So be it. Just be still and let the blessings flow through us. Now imagine a brilliant light just floating above your head. Put your entire attention on it. The rest will be done for you. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of every person, every being. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of every person, every being. Let divine love descend throughout the entire earth. May God's messenger of love return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let divine purpose guide the wills of every person, every being, the purpose which the Holy Masters and the spiritual hierarchy know and serve. Let goodwill and the willingness to do good descend on earth. from the center which we call the human race and all the other races, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where any evil dwells. Let light, let love, let power descend on earth. Let light, love, and power restore and manifest the divine plan on earth now. So be it. Let's chant Om 3 times. Om, Om, Om. Just be still. Now put your hands down, keep your eyes closed, keep your tongue on your palate. Maintain your stillness. Maintain your awareness on that brilliant light floating above your head. Just be still. Gently, slowly, very gently and slowly come back to your body. Gently and slowly move your fingers, move your toes. Gently raise your hands. We'll release the excess energies our bodies cannot absorb. Fill the earth with beautiful golden light. Imagine the people you love. Fill them all with beautiful golden light. May all of them be blessed with good health, with happiness, with abundance and prosperity, and spirituality. So be it. May all be blessed. So be it. Now beware of your feet and the base of your spine. Put your golden light down into the earth. Let our beloved Mother Earth be blessed with divine light, divine love, and divine power. Let our beloved Mother Earth be healed, regenerated, and revitalized. Blessings be to Mother Earth. So be it. And let's give thanks to the Divine Supreme God, Divine Father, Mother. Thank you to all the spiritual elders, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, and spiritual helpers. We thank you. Personally, to my beloved and respected teacher, Master Chokok Sui Mahaguju Jumeling, thank you in full faith. And so it is. Right, open your eyes. How was your meditation? If you're sensitive, you might have felt the energy flowing through. The key in that meditation is to just be the channel or the pipeline for the blessings to flow through the earth. You and I are not doing the blessing. We're just lucky enough to be holding the fire hose for the energy flow through. So in the process, as the energy is flowing through, we're getting cleaned out. And you get extra karma credits for being the instrument. Not too bad. Now, speaking of purifying as well as meditating, this Saturday here in the United States and Sunday everywhere else, we're having the third most powerful full moon of the year, which is at 8 p.m. California time. So you guys do the conversion. So that's the Goodwill Festival, the full moon of Gemini. Make sure I got this right. Eek. Can't see it. All right. So it starts at 8 p.m. The actual full moon is 8:43 California time. But we're starting at 8. So we'll have a short reminder of what the full moon is. And then we'll go into the meditation. So by the time the peak of the full moon happens, we'll already be in deep meditation. And as we always remind you, make sure you pull out all your wishes. Do you want blessed, goals, aspirations, better job, better health, better relationship, whatever it is you want to ask for, have it all written down. After the meditation, we're all filled with so much energy. You're going to aim that energy to all your wishes and ask God's blessings to be on it. That's how you use energy. Because After the meditation, there's so much energy in your aura. What are you going to do with it? Your body can only absorb so much. The rest dissipate. You might as well use that excess energy, focus on your goals and wishes, so that every full moon, these wishes are being energized. Okay? So again, that will be this Saturday in California, Sunday everywhere else, 8:43 or 8 o'clock. Let's just make it easy, because that's when we actually start the event. And it's not going to be on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, none of those. So go to masterco.org to register. Okay? Just like the full moon of Aries, which is the first one, and then the Wesak and this one, we're not going to have it on social media, because again, you got a bunch of people who might be interested, might not be interested. They're just sitting there, oh yeah, they start criticizing you, bunch of crazy people doing meditation, the full moon, what else are you going to do? Blah, blah, blah. Who wants their energy? Make sense? So you go to masterco.org, you register. It's free, it doesn't cost you anything. We'll meditate together, and it also allows me to speak freely. I don't have to tiptoe, because, some people's feelings get hurt over useless things. Believe it or not, people get upset. They go, are you telling me that I'm not connected to God? So what are you saying I'm connected with God? It's like, yeah, you'd be surprised at what I see, what people type. So we'll have the meditation and the lecture. It's going to be online. It's free. Just go to masterco.org and register. All right? So that's it. Anything else? We will see you Friday morning. We'll still have the morning meditation. It's just the evening one. Oh, no, we'll have Friday morning and evening. This one is Saturday. Okay, sorry. My body's still on partial jet lag. It was just in Germany yesterday. But that's the thing. I hope you join us. Bring your friends and loved ones who are open to it. Again, write your notes. Write your, not notes, your wishes and whatever you want blessed. I'm not the one blessing it. We're asking the blessings to flow through us. You have all this excess energy. You're just going to charge it up. All right, so I think it's Wednesday. No, I think it's Wednesday. Yeah. We'll see you Friday morning. Namaste, everyone. You all take care. And remember what that African proverb says. When you show the moon to a child, or someone acting like a child, they only see the finger. They don't see the moon that the finger is pointing to. So, all right, I just would like to remind you to practice discernment. A lot of you are very loving, sharpen your mind, and have the ability to take action. Very, very important. Namaste again. Good night. Take care. Oh, one last thing. The Healer's Mastery, we're almost full. I think we have less than 20 seats available. That's coming up in 2 weeks. If you want to join us in person, it's not online. I mean, people still ask. It's going to be in Anaheim, less than 5 minutes from Disneyland. It's going to 5 intensive days. And the ones who have joined us before, I have a tendency to overdo it, which, as I always say, if you do something, can't overdo it, why bother doing it? So we're going to learn, we're going to practice. And the deadline for I think the next best discount is this coming Friday. So if it's something you want to join us with, you might as well save some money. All right. Namaste. You all take care. God bless. And we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.